Yeah, hi, I'm Kanchan Jain. I'm the CEO of Religare Credit Advisors LLP. We are an alternative investment manager and we manage debt funds on behalf of our investors. Our last fund was a 500 crore plus fund where we've invested in 21 high yielding debt investments and generated returns of about 20% plus. Our investments typically give periodic income to our investors, and we made 7 quarterly distributions of 17%. We see a lot of opportunity in this sector where investors can invest their money in debt investments in established mid-market companies and earn healthy returns from a portfolio of debt. I think this budget is very important. This is really the first full year for this, for this government in terms of presenting its budget. So there's a lot of expectations. There are 3 or 4 big areas where we are looking at. The first, obviously, is the government has to kickstart the sort of overall growth cycle. We've seen some disappointing numbers on IIP on the manufacturing side. So we do expect that the government will have very specific initiatives to kickstart the investment cycle. I think the more important area within this is, of course, the rural side, the rural sector, and we do expect to see a lot of reforms on the agriculture side. Last 2 years have been dismal on the monsoon side, and that has, cascading effects on rural consumption and economy as a whole. So it would be great to see areas such as irrigation, water, and other agri-related infrastructure that the government can kickstart and really make it work for the rural consumption, stabilize the rural consumption side. So definitely would like to see more on that front. I think the urban consumption and services are by and large doing well, so we expect that to stay as it is. Third, I think there is a growing consensus that the government needs to play a bigger role in kickstarting the investment cycle, so one would expect to see some more capex and streamlining approval process, in terms of the initiatives in this budget. Second big area, we do feel that the government will stick to its fiscal consolidation targets that were discussed and that were announced by the finance minister in its last budget. So we expect the fiscal deficit to be in the region of about 3.7%. And that's going to be a challenge while also kickstarting the investment cycle to maintain fiscal consolidation. So on that front, I think first we would expect a lot of rationalization of subsidies. The low commodity cycle and oil prices should give some cushion to the government to lower the fuel subsidies and use that money productively elsewhere. There was a discussion in last budget that there would be a big expenditure rationalization, so we would certainly like to see some progress on that front. And I think the second big area would be indirect taxes, and I think there are 2 areas here. On the custom duty side, there is a lot of discussion on anti-dumping measures that the government needs to look at to protect the local manufacturing industry. That would also play the role of increasing revenues for the government. So we do expect some increases in custom duties. There may be some rationalization on the excise duty structure as well. But the biggest area that the government needs to address is our sort of overall direct tax system. We'd already seen the announcement of bringing the corporate tax rates down, so we may see further progress on that. But just rationalization by removing the many exemptions that are otherwise present in the system. I think for the individuals, there is a case for a slight increase in the exemption limits given inflations and prices for the consumer. But again, I think the focus needs to be boosting tax revenues for the government as a whole. I think India is amongst the lowest tax revenues as a percentage of GDP, and that would certainly help in keeping the fiscal discipline under control. Third big area on the fiscal side is the divestment targets. Second year in a row, the government's fallen short in achieving its divestment targets. So I think it will be interesting to see what they come up with this year and how they actually end up achieving it. There's a lot that the government can do in terms of using innovative financing to finance its requirements, and we'd like to see some of that come into the budget. Third big area, I think we'll continue to see initiatives for education and skilling. We'll continue to see initiatives on healthcare. But I think the important thing would be to take the Make in India campaign that we've heard so much about and really convert that into, or add to that by bringing in more high technology sectors and more high evaluated sectors for the economy as a whole. The last, but definitely not the least, is banking sector reform. the backbone of sort of Indian economy in our ability to fund our own growth. So we do expect to see some initiatives and action there too.